And we're live. Welcome to the Writer's Life, a place where you get the sight, sound, smells, taste of my particular writer's life. Wish that wouldn't the cover. I wish the cover wouldn't do that. Anyway, um, so welcome to the Writer's Life, place where you get the sight, sound, smells, taste of my particular writer's life, and where you get the truth. Subscribe, punch the like button, and tap the bell for notifications so that you don't miss out on one exciting fucking video. Oh, I shouldn't be using F-bombs on this Holy Friday, Good Friday. Why do they call it Good Friday? I don't think it was very good for Jesus. But he did a good thing. He beat the devil. Like in that U2 song, to claim the victory, Jesus won. A lot of people don't even know what that means, but this guy does because I was an altar boy. Anyway, I just got to thinking about Easter and my old man and how it's been like 12 years since he's died, and how I was placed in charge with closing his business up, and it was a big, like, multi-million-dollar business. It wasn't the easiest thing in the world, but I had excellent help by two people in particular. I won't mention their names, but without them, I would have been in deep trouble because I had just signed a 6-book deal with Times and Mercer. Those were due, and I had other writing duties. I had, so I couldn't do both. I could oversee it more or less, but and do my part. But these guys really did the job. It was funny too because when we were closing it up, we found like a bunch of emails. We got into the computer by like some of the. My dad ran a general construction company, by the way. If you didn't know, I just assume you guys know that. I come from a construction family, and we found all these emails. Like some of the project managers were sending to one another, and it turns out a lot of them were assholes. It's amazing the stuff we found. It just like these people aren't your friends; they're your employees, and anyway, luckily we ended up closing the place without a lawsuit. Everything got done, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But that's not what this is about. It is sort of about my old man though, because when I was a kid, I used to dread Easter because it like always seemed to fall on a day that was like the first nice day, right? Of the year, of the new year, the spring. And all I wanted to do was like, eat candy in the morning, right? And just run off all that energy outside and just go outside and play, right? But you'd have to put on good clothes and you'd have to go to church, and it was like forever long. And like I can still remember like my dad like falling asleep at the mass or whatever. And then you know and then like if that wasn't enough torture, then it was like we had to go like for a lunch that was like dinner, but it was lunch, but it was and it was that my mother would always choose a place that was like an hour away, so I had to sit in the fucking car you know to go eat like baked manicotti or something gross like that, like with a bunch of my cousins. They were great. And some of them were actually, but you know, and it was just an all day affair. And I just, and then after that was over, just to really add torture, my father insisted on visiting relatives like in Schenectady. Now, who the fuck goes to Schenectady? I could find my way around Istanbul better than I could find my way around Schenectady, and that's no joke. Um, and these were cousins that were like second cousins who I wouldn't even know their names. Like if I ran over them today, I wouldn't know who they are. And anyway, so like, and then by around like 5 o'clock, my mother was like and my father weren't like speaking anymore, and like the ride home would probably be a fight. So when it was over, I was happy. You know, maybe by the time we got home, I was able to shed my clothes and put on my jeans at that point and go outside at least for a little while. Um, but it's just it's funny though, because the very first time, my very first short story I ever wrote was when I was 15, and it was for my English class that was run by um, this guy Frank Nash. We called him FN. I went to a military school, Albany Academy. It was a military school then, like a real military school. Like you drilled, all sorts of stuff. We had Springfield rifles in the basement. They had a shooting range. You wore a uniform, and there was inspections, the whole bit. I ended up making captain, but now it's just a prep school. They got rid of the military, so it's not the same. Hang on a second. Hey, I'm making my video.
Oh, all right.
Let me call you right back.
All right.
Wait. That's my friend. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, we called Frank Nash was the coolest guy in the world. Like tall, rock and roll, thin. He wasn't. He was at that time probably about my age now. World War II vet, maybe even Korea too. But he was an expert on the Civil War, and he was an expert on Hemingway. And at the time, he was trying to write a book about the Albany Academy and its history because it had been around since 1813. Herman Melville went there. All the Teddy Roosevelt's kids went there. The Cuomo's went there. All the governor's kids went there. Anyway, and I went there, played football there. But the first story I wrote for him, for his class, was a story about my Easter experience. And I described church, and I described everything after or whatever. And, and I remember like I wrote this thing, and then like I like at the end of it, I said like, by the way, this is not a knock on my family kind of thing. I didn't know what to do because it was it was very personal, and I got like an A plus 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 on it, right? And the last page where I wrote like this disclaimer, he just went and put red lines through it. He's like, you don't need that. And he used my story as an example of how to write a short story in the class. So I was very proud. I didn't know at that time that would be my future, writing such stories. I wish I still had that story somewhere. I don't. I wonder if my family ever read it. My parents. Could be. I don't know. Anyway, Easter is a time to rejoice, however, if you're a believer. And I don't go to church like I should. And let's face it, if you don't go to church and you're a believer, you're just lazy. You're just lazy. I'm lazy. And I've told like our local priest, at the church my mother belongs to, I'm like, Father, I'm just lazy. He's like, well, when you're ready to come back, we're here for you. So that's always nice. So I got that going for me. Anyway, I wish you all a really happy Easter weekend. If it's Passover for you, I wish you a happy Passover. My daughter's Jewish, and my second ex-wife is Jewish. I wish them a very happy Passover. And that's all I got today. It's Friday, Good Friday, like I said. And I'll get to you guys on Easter Sunday, because by then you'll probably be looking for something to distract you. Unless there's like a black swan event or something tomorrow. All right. And I will talk to you guys then. Ciao, ciao.